Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, Joy Plays Games, and today I'm here to bring you my much anticipated, much delayed, much procrastinated review discussion of Venom Let There Be Carnage. So, as I talked about in my last couple of videos last week, which is about a week from today, because I procrastinated and didn't get anything done. I was seeing this movie last Friday, the day before my birthday, and hung out with my friends, saw it, we had a good time, and then it was my birthday next day, 21, didn't really feel like getting anything done, and then Sunday rolled around, football, school, I didn't get anything done, and then I procrastinated the first 3 days this week, so I apologize, but we're gonna move forward. So let's get into it. I'm gonna read a little bit here from the written review that I did for the Mason School online newspaper, Fourth Estate. And we're gonna kind of talk through it. All right, so let's get into it. I think the story of Let There Be Carnage is a small step up from the original, but as we discuss in my expectations, that doesn't say a whole lot because the original plot of Venom is not very innovative or standout. You had Carlton Drake, played by Riz Ahmed, great actor, but he just played an eccentric scientist who had a good idea, or had an idea about symbiotes and space travel and colonization, and it didn't really work out very well in his favor. So in this one, I think they shook up the writing team a little bit. They had Tom Hardy come in to help join the writing team. He was given a story credit, so I think he probably gave a rough first draft of the script or rough story beats, and then Kelly Marcel finished it up, cleaned it up, I guess, and formed it into what is translated to the screen today. So I think there are two things to break down about the writing team behind this. I think they recognize that Hardy's performance as Venom and Eddie in the first one was what the standout was. That's what the audience enjoyed. That's what gave it its high 80% audience score from Rotten Tomatoes. So they decided to double down on that and keep it rolling, which is where this film works. And it had two scenes that it had Nick and I, who sat next to each other, absolutely howling laughing. One was a Michelle Williams and Venom scene, the one in the store with Mrs. Chen, and then there was a couple of scenes with Eddie that were funny. But the thing that I always think about in relation to this is after I watched the first one, I'm not sure that what I find funny is supposed to be funny, but I think in this one they double down and it doesn't really matter. So I'm glad to see they double down on that. But I think doubling down on that makes the villain side feel a little weak. The villains, Cletus Cassidy, Carnage, played by Woody Harrelson, and Shriek, played by Naomi Harris. I have no idea who Shriek is in the comics, not even going to pretend to, but I at least have some resemblance of idea of how badass Carnage is, and I feel like this movie translates a fraction of it. It doesn't get to the point where it can do the character complete justice because of its runtime. So the runtime's a little over an hour and a half, which benefits the comedy and the dynamic between Eddie and Venom, but it does not do any large favors to the villains, in my opinion. They're just kind of there to serve as second fiddle. I think Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy it's a really good casting. I was really interested after the post-credits scene in the first Venom of what he was going to do. I find it really hard to make the serial killer thing enjoyable or at least interesting to watch, considering how many iterations of the Joker that we have and how many iterations of weird, crazy serial killers. So I think the story really needed to do a lot to get there. So I didn't expect a whole lot of good to come out of that, but I did expect a little bit better out of Carnage. In my review here, I talk about how Carnage, I think he's kept at surface level. In the comics, he's very powerful, one of the most violent. I mean, they had maximum Carnage as an entire event, which he practically kills the entire MCU. or at least he's got a lot of them on the ropes. The film gives him a couple sequences to shine. It gives the Ravencroft sequence where he breaks Shriek out of prison. That's cool. It's fun. It's kept around 3 to 4 minutes. It's entertaining. Everything he does is cool. But after that, he only gets a couple moments to shine, and they're nothing really to write home about. The original Carnage escape from the prison, cool. Didn't really get the wind tunnel thing, but director choice, I guess. I'm gonna pretend not to understand and move on. I feel like he gets to showcase his powers pretty well against standard, normal, everyday people, but then he fights Venom, and it's a very long fight. And granted, Carnage does have him on the ropes for a large majority of it, but he ends up losing. I mean, this is a review discussion. If you didn't know, spoilers. We're going into spoiler-filled territory. Venom beats him eventually after getting his ass kicked for 15, 20 minutes. And then bites Carnage, or he eats Carnage, and then he bites Cletus Cassidy's head off. Now, Andy Serkis has said that, in comics, nobody ever truly dies, which I understand, and I think that's a good value point to have in relation to this. So then you can actually have cool moments like that, and nobody will ever really be surprised if he comes back. But I think, on the other hand, while Harrison's performance is fun to watch, entertaining at the very least, Harris's performance is very, very just not good. All of us came out of the film, everybody that I watched it with like, what is the point? Why was she even there? And I think it's really a waste, because I think she's great as Moneypenny in the Craig Bond films. In Skyfall, really good job. She was in Spectre, kind of back into more of that Moneypenny role, and then she's back in No Time to Die, which comes out today, and I'm seeing it tonight, and I'm very excited. In about 10 hours, I think. So I wish they used her more. I think I saw on Twitter this weekend that it's almost like they were trying to create a Joker and Harley Quinn dynamic, which I think can be fun if it's well written, but instead it feels like she's put in there almost as a MacGuffin just so Venom can eventually use her to take out Carnage. And I feel like that doesn't do her a whole lot of justice, and it's not a really great use of Harris's acting performance. Granted, she's in all of 4 or 5 scenes. It probably didn't take her very long to shoot a project, so she may have been there to just catch a paycheck and be a part of the superhero universe. But I don't think that serves the story or propels it beyond anything that feels like it's just a mid-2000s superhero movie, which is fine and fun, and that's where I think a lot of the disparity comes from the Rotten Tomatoes. I'm going to pull the Rotten Tomatoes up for Let There Be Carnage right now, and I just kind of want to talk through that really quick. So it's got a higher tomato meter from the critics. It's got a 59%, which is better than the original film's 30%. So we're slowly climbing up. And then we've got 85% from the audience score. So the audience likes this one better than the first one. And I think that's understandable. I think there's a lot more to like in this one. There's a lot more to come out feeling that you're enjoyed and entertained. So I like these movies. I don't think they're by any stretch of the imagination great movies. I don't think that they're ones that parallel to the MCU, even parallel to some of the DCU's lowest points. But Tom Hardy seems to like this character, and he's talked about wanting to do a third one, wanting to team up with Spider-Man, wanting to have those interactions, and wanting to be a part of the larger comic book universe in general. So now that we start talking about that, let's get into this end credit scene. Now, I got a funny story to tell you about this end credit scene. Throughout that entire final battle of the movie, I had to pee so bad that I really should have peed while Venom and Eddie are sitting on the beach. But instead, I peed during the middle of the credits and came back just as the world was transforming. So I got to see all that part. Got to see the J. Jonah Jameson. Didn't get to hear the corny dialogue, but I got it recapped for me. So I feel like I can talk about this relatively confidently. I I think this is an interesting way to introduce him, especially because of how much they talked about him as lethal protector in this film. He sees himself as definitely a superhero, sees himself as an anti-hero. So the first person that he comes out to, or he sees after this reality transfer, is Spider-Man. So that makes sense that there originally can be some conflict there, but they may end up being buddy-buddy, may end up fighting together against somebody. But on the other hand, it was brought up to me by Nick that as they're talking about the 20,000 years of hive mind stuff that would blow Eddie's mind, it's possible that that also includes some multiversing capabilities. That in the multiverse, Venom and, obviously, as we know in the comics, Venom and Spider-Man are enemies. They do not work well together. They don't like each other. That may be where that conflict comes in. But now we know that they are both in the same universe. Originally, as we kind of talked about in the expectations video, I would have liked to have seen somehow Carnage be popped up in Andrew Garfield's world, and then Andrew Garfield dragged into No Way Home. And then you know that those two are together and possibly have a good thing. But I think release dates and stuff made this all complicated, especially when Circus is talking about it. Circus talks about this like this credit scene was in constant flux, and they knew it was supposed to do a lot and set up a lot. So it's supposed to be ambiguous. Circus keeps talking about that. So I'm okay with it. I'm glad that he's now out of this Sony Spider-Man collection of characters or whatever they're calling it now, and he's in the MCU. And I hope that just behind the scenes, Pascal has enough trust in Kevin Feige to include him in the writing process to take the best parts of the Venom and Venom. No, why? I just made their ship name. Didn't even mean to do it. Eddie and Venom. Transfer that dynamic into these films. Have it play off this very charismatic Spider-Man in Tom Holland, and maybe double down in possibly the next trilogy after No Way Home. As I talked about in the expectations video, it's possible that they're going to be exploring more of the multiverse even after No Way Home. So I'm interested, to say the very least. I like Hardy as Venom. I think it's more entertaining than Topher Grace. Topher Grace it's been a while since I watched Spider-Man 3, but he may have been a more true kind of to character in the comics. But I think this Venom's fun, and I'd like to see the two of them interact, and I think we will. So those are kind of my thoughts on Venom. Let There Be Carnage. Better than the original, not by much. Story improves by focusing on the Eddie and Venom dynamic. Carnage plays second fiddle. Shriek is practically non-existent. I liked Michelle Williams as Anne. She always gets some great fun scenes in both of these movies. And I'm looking forward to what the next one is. If it's Venom 3, if it's him popping up in a Spider-Man movie, whatever the situation is, I'm looking forward to seeing these characters pop up again. It's kind of refreshing, especially because it's an hour and a half, to have this kind of middle road where it's not MCU levels of quality, but it's understandable because it's an hour and a half. They clearly don't have the writing talent to punch up that script enough over there. No offense to Hardy or Marcel. So that's kind of my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment your thoughts on Venom Let There Be Carnage down below in the comments. Like the video. It really does help the channel grow. And please subscribe so you don't miss a beat of our content. I'm going to catch up on What If, watch the finale, and then probably do a video on that, and then do the new Titans episode. Titans may come out before What If. I don't know why, but that's maybe how I do it. And then No Time to Die review maybe this weekend. Maybe. I just realized also, by the way, that Fandom is Saturday the 16th, which I've known, and it's been in my head for a while, but I'm not in town on the 16th. So all the talks of doing a stream and stuff is canned. I will be watching these trailers on my phone and then coming back, and we'll just do a podcast is what we'll come back and do. I think Sunday I'll come back and I'll make sure all my stuff is done before I leave to go on the strip, and then come back Sunday and bang out a podcast with the boys. So Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.